Guys, there are some similarities between the DC and Philadelphia plane crashes that are just blowing my mind right now, and they share a common denominator with some of the incidents that occurred just before these crashes, and no one is talking about it. Let's get into it. So I'm sure by now you guys have heard about the plane crash in DC.
American Airlines Flight 5342 took off from Wichita, Kansas at 6:22 p.m. Eastern with 64 people on board. Destination, Washington. In Virginia, an Army Black Hawk helicopter like this one left Fort Belvoir Army Base. The 3 soldiers on board engaged in routine retraining that's required every year. The Black Hawk was headed south. Headed north, approaching the airport to land, was Flight 5342. At 8:43 p.m., air traffic controllers cleared the flight crew to land at Reagan National Airport.
Pushing 5342, check runway 33.
Yeah, we can do 33.
At 8:47 p.m., the control tower warned the Black Hawk about Flight 5342.
Pass 25, get the CRJ in flight. Pass 25, pass line is CRJ.
Seconds later, a webcam captured the deadly crash. The sound, you can only imagine.
Crash, crash, crash. This is Alert 3. Crash, crash, crash.
8:48 p.m., the control tower sounded the alarm. 8:58 p.m., first responders descended on the scene and leapt into action in a frantic rescue effort.
This is an active operation that's going to last many hours as we continue to work through recovery efforts and rescue operations.
About 300 responders answered the call in patrol boats, helicopters, and ambulances. But by morning, it would be deemed a recovery mission, not a rescue.
I think this was preventable, absolutely.
Now, the good news is they recovered the black box, which is going to give us a lot more information on what happened.
We heard from the NTSB last night that they have recovered the 2 black boxes. Those are the recording devices in the aircraft, and they're crucial in any air disaster investigation because they sort of tape the last moments before an impact, the voice in the cockpit, but also sort of key metrics of the aircraft. So that will add to the investigation, and really they're trying to find out which of the 2 aircraft, remember it was a helicopter and a regional jet that were involved in this crash, which of these 2 might have been out of position, might have not responded correctly to the inputs that were coming from the air traffic controllers. So they're going to try and replicate the sequence of events of those last fateful moments. The regional jet was on approach. It was really seconds from landing at Ronald Reagan International Airport, and the helicopter was in the way, shall we say.
Now, this is where things start getting sketchy. A former Black Hawk helicopter pilot actually came out talking about some things that she thinks might have gone wrong just before the crash.
3 different things happen. First of all, they only had a crew of 3. And if you're flying a visual flight plan in a crowded airspace like this, they really should have had 2 crew chiefs in the back of the helicopter to clear each side, as the pilots only have visibility from straight ahead 12 to 3 o'clock, or 12 from 9 o'clock to 12 o'clock. So you only have visibility of the front 180 degrees. Your crew chiefs clear the back. If you only have 1 crew chief, how much can you clear? The second one is, it is, whether they were on night vision goggles at that time or not, it is a very cluttered airspace with a lot of lighting and the lights reflecting on the river. And so with that, it's easy to kind of get a little disoriented as far as the height. They were supposed to be at 200 feet, which is the helicopter routing in that area, and it wouldn't have been a conflict, but they were not at 200 feet. Obviously, reportedly, the incident happened at around 350 to 400 feet as the airliner was descending. So that they were at the wrong height. So that's a pilot error. The first would be a policy error or choice. And then the third is air traffic control said, do you have the CRJ in sight? Well, there were two aircraft in their field of view, and actually only one was really obvious to them. And that was if you watch the video, the aircraft taking off in the foreground is probably the one they were facing, the pilots were facing, and said, yeah, I got it. The air traffic control should have said, do you have the aircraft at 5 o'clock? So they were looking at the rear. If they had done that, the Black Hawk is maneuverable. The Black Hawk could have moved out of the way quickly, they can move on a dime and make that happen.
So did you guys notice something about what she said? Because of the light conditions, the artificial light, and the fact that it was at night, whether they were wearing night vision goggles or not, due to both the darkness above and the light pollution from below, it would have been very difficult for them to determine visually what their altitude was, which means they were relying on their onboard instruments. Now, I don't want to be alarmist and act like instrument malfunctions are the only variable at play in this DC crash. That airport has had a history of near misses.
2784, go straight ahead, quick. I got traffic, short final. 2134, cancel takeoff clearance. Super King, 0 Alpha, go around.
November, my number, air, ground point, that booster, 2226.
Stop. Southwest 2937, stop.
Congestion at the airport has worsened amid critical staffing shortages industry-wide. At the time of the crash, the FAA says the air traffic controller was effectively doing the job of 2 people.
Now here's where the Philadelphia crash plays into everything. Update. Crashed airplane in Philadelphia was a medical rescue jet carrying 6 passengers, including a young girl. Air traffic control audio reveals moments before the crash, we have a lost aircraft. What's crazy is it looks like a missile coming down, and the explosion is so large. You'd think you were getting hit by a missile from a foreign state or something. Like that plane was remotely shut off or something in my mind. Like that's the first thing I think when I look at this.
Mid-service 056 on departure, turn right heading 290, runway 24, clear for takeoff, wind 25010. Medevac Med-Service 056 affirmative, on departure, turn right heading 290, runway 24, clear for takeoff. Medevac Med-Service 056, contact Philly departure 123.8.
123.8, Mike Tango Sierra 056 Medevac. Thank you, good day.
Medevac Med-Service 056, Northeast Tower, contact Philly 123.8. Medevac Med-Service, Northeast Tower. Medevac Med-Service 056, Northeast Tower, you on frequency?
Medevac Mike Tango Sierra 056, Northeast Tower, how do you hear this transmission?
Medevac Med-Service 056, Northeast Tower.
I think that's when they lost contact with the Philadelphia flight. The rest of the audio is them trying to coordinate response and see if anybody else can contact them.
56098 Foxtrot, Northeast Ground, Roger. Stand by 1. I'll get back to you when I can.
Approach to runway 24, what's going on down there?
Position 755. We have a lost aircraft. We're not exactly sure what happened, so we're trying to figure it out. For now, the field is going to be closed, so no inbounds or outbounds probably.
All right, understand. Thank you.
60908 Foxtrot. I'm sure you copied that, but for right now, we're gonna call the field closed. We'll try to get you out here when we can. If we can't, we'll have to take you over to Atlantic. But stand by for now.
So in DC, the helicopter was understaffed and relying on their instrumentation to determine their altitude. And in Philadelphia, the plane lost all contact to radio towers and could not be seen on radar. Now, when I saw all of these details, boom, it clicked with this article I read over a year ago. Hackers are taking over planes' GPS. Experts are lost on how to fix it. Now, these hacks occurred in the Middle East, but it still reveals glaring cybersecurity vulnerabilities on the onboard systems of our commercial aircraft. There have been over 50 recent reports of frightening cyber attacks that have altered planes' in-flight GPS, leading to what experts described as critical navigation failures of the onboard navigation computers. The attack, called GPS spoofing, when a navigation system is given counterfeit coordinates, isn't new and applies to all modes of transportation. 10 years ago, a group of college students at the University of Texas bragged that they moved an $80 million yacht off its course as a school project. In 2015, a security researcher also hacked a United Airlines flight and modified its course as a warning over these security flaws. Guys, whether this played a role in these crashes or not, it's a serious concern, the cybersecurity surrounding our GPS infrastructure, and it needs to be addressed immediately. Hey, thank you for joining me on this, guys. I didn't want to be too alarmist, but I think it's something that we should seriously consider. Yo, guys, watch Nancy Pelosi panic as investigators close in on her corruption. And by the way, Kash Patel is eviscerating at his Senate confirmation hearing. Check it out. You guys are awesome. Thank you so much for joining me. I appreciate it.